Okay, so this story I'll read. I've been working in this mode that I call third-person ventriloquist. So it's just kind of a normal third person, but you go a little faster into the person's head. And when you go in there, you are sort of obliged to follow his or her diction and neurosis and thought patterns a little closer than you normally would. So in this story, the first scene is going to be a 15-year-old girl who's home alone in her house. It will seem from time to time that there are a lot of other people there, but they're all in her head. Likewise, we'll take a cut and go to the next door house, which is, as in my neighborhood in Chicago, exactly the same floor plan. We grew up in a neighborhood where there was this house called the Contessa Del Mar. And at one point, I lived in that one, as did my three best friends. So it was great. You go to their house, and you're like, I know where the bathroom is. No problem. So this little boy is in his identical house, and he also is totally alone, although it will seem like he isn't. And then finally, there's some French in here, which I will slaughter. But my wife assures me that these are dance terms. So whenever you hear me speaking bad French, imagine a girl dancing in her kitchen. That's all. That's your part of it. Okay. Okay, so this is a story called Victory Lap. 3 days shy of her 15th birthday, Allison Pope paused at the top of the stairs. Say the staircase was marble. Say she descended and all heads turned. Where was Special One? Approaching now, bowing slightly, he exclaimed, how can so much grace be contained in one small package? Oops. Had he said small package and just stood there? Broad prince-like face, totally bland of expression. Poor thing, sorry, no way, down he went. He was definitely not Special One. What about this guy, behind Mr. Small Package? Standing near the home entertainment center, with a thick neck of farmer integrity, yet tender, ample lips, who, placing one hand on the small of her back, whispered, dreadfully sorry you had to endure that bit about the small package just now. Let us go stand on the moon, in the moonlight. Had he said, let us go stand on the moon? If so, she would have to be like, and if no wry acknowledgement was forthcoming, be like, I'm not exactly dressed for standing on the moon, which is, I understand it is super cold. Come on, guys, she couldn't keep treading gracefully on this marble stairwell in her mind forever. That dear old white hair and the tiara was getting all like, why are the supposed princess making that darling girl march in place ad nausea? Plus, she had a recital tonight and had to go fetch her tights from the dryer.
Well, that story was something, huh? Where did that come from?
Well,
That's my first question.
I apologize. Actually, that one, well, I had a, I've always struggled with, or lately struggled with this, how dark my stuff is. And I don't really see myself as that kind of person. And so I thought one day, I'm going to try to write something that isn't, no death, no murder, no violence. And I had in mind this Chekhov story called After the Opera, which is a beautiful 5 or 6 page thing where this young woman comes home from her first social engagement and basically just thinks. And because it's Chekhov, it's gorgeous, and you can kind of feel her whole life indicated in it. And I thought, I'll do that, So I tried it with this imaginary 15-year-old girl. And that's what happened. Because I got to the end of my section and it just wasn't, it didn't have any drive, So then I think, as I remembered, I kind of, I would sort of like write a section like that and just refine it for comedy and for speed and everything. And in that process, she blurted out that bit about, which was totally autobiographical of me at 15, which is my thought that all these old people were so stupid. What's with all this alcoholism and divorce? Why don't they just get it right, And so she says, if you want to be good, you just have to be good, And that was my mindset at 15. So once she said that, you're like, could you repeat that, young lady? I said, well, to be good, all you have to be good, do is be good. And so that was sort of like plot. And you said, okay, well, then my job is to sort of bring up a world where that belief gets challenged. And then it kind of took off from there and, got dark.
And do you feel like that happens pretty naturally for you, that you swerve to the dark pretty quickly, or no?
Yeah, I think it's a lack of subtlety, actually, No, I mean, really, because a more subtle writer would get into more crevices, but I'm like a kind of a cartoon guy. So I had a story once called The Barber's Unhappiness, and It was about this guy in our neighborhood who was a real overt ogler of women. So he would ogle 95-year-old women and female dogs and women, you know, passing on the sides of buses. He didn't care. So I thought, I'm going to use my powers of fiction to crucify this guy. So I did for about 5 months, and the story flatlined because I had no sympathy for him and no, you know. So I thought, I got to do something to make the reader feel for this guy. And again, being not subtle, I just lopped off the toes on one of his feet, that he was born that way. And then that became kind of the way to make him lovable. I don't know.